Hi, I'm Tonja Walker, and welcome to One Day to Love. Today, my guest is Marilyn Ghigliotti. She is an actress who's done so many movies. She's best known for a film called Clerks, but she's done a lot of scary movies too. So we're going to talk to her about that, and I'm sure you know some of them. We know a lot of the same people, and she's just a magnificent actress. She's also a makeup artist and does a lot of comedy. She's got a few comedy shows coming up, and I'm looking forward to talking to her, so stay tuned. Welcome to the show, Marilyn. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and thank you so much for having me, actually.
Oh, God. Well, Neil is a really good friend of ours, and he's a fabulous director. His name is Neil Johnson. He's done tons and tons and tons of things, but he's a big fan of yours.
Well, I'm a big fan of his.
I am too.
I've known him since 2010, I think, and I've done three, could be four projects with him. I kind of lose count. Um, but I love how he works and how he does his projects. And I've always said I am very surprised that he's not more well known.
hmm hmm Yeah, he should be. I love Rogue Warrior. You
One of
know,
my favorites of
yeah,
the of what I did with him, yeah.
that's the last one that I saw. But he's done so many movies, you know, and Tracy's fabulous. Tracy
Yeah.
Burrell, she's really great.
Yeah.
So I'm just, waiting for the next one, But the reason I got to actually have him at my house for a minute to help me with this when we weren't at the studio in Malibu was he was going to shoot. Um, I don't know what the name of it was, but it's like an Armageddon kind of outer space thing that he does. And um,
That's pretty much his genre.
I know, and he was in the neighborhood because he was looking for the moon or something of that nature, right? So he was up in Joshua Tree, and I live in Palm Desert, and so he just happened to be sort of in the neighborhood. So it was great. And when I walked him to his car, he had this spaceship in the back. And it really was a spaceship. I said, what the hell is this? He goes, I made that. That's for the movie. I said, does it fly? He goes, yeah, it flies. I'm like, oh my God. And then I saw some of the things that he does with the special effects, and they're just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Um, and I've said this to him sometimes where please tell me when you're going out location scouting because I love the locations that he finds.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. One day he was supposed to help me, and he said, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to postpone this. There's a volcano in Iceland that I need to go over and shoot. I'm like, I'm like, why? He goes, oh, well, I always shoot the volcanoes, and I shoot them myself, and I carry about 200 pounds of equipment up the mountain, about 2 miles, and then I shoot the volcano. I said, you've got to send me this footage. So he did. I couldn't. So now
He
there's a volcano. I call him. I'm like, are you going over there? Are you leaving town? You know.
Well, he's got footage of when the Malibu fires. It's like he was actually shooting the fires and it's like putting his life at risk while he was doing that.
Yeah, I think climbing that mountain is putting your life at risk personally. I
Yeah.
mean, I can't believe that. I mean, he was so high up, but it's very impressive. I was very impressed. So, but that's a one-man band there. I mean, I know he has a crew and everything, but he does a lot of things himself.
Yeah. Yeah. He wears a lot of hats.
Yeah, that's because he probably doesn't think anybody can do it as well as he can, and he's probably right.
I don't know if it's that or if it's just like because I'm kind of a little bit like this as well. The time it takes for me to explain it, I've
Oh,
done it.
yeah.
And then and not to mention that many times it's like spur of the moment that I kind of think of it and I just do it.
Right, right. I understand. I understand. That's I end up very distracted sometimes because I decide I've got to do everything myself, and I end up doing 20 things at one time. I'm
Yeah.
not good at that. I'm trying really hard to get better at that. So when did you start being an actress? What were you doing first? Theater. I know you did theater.
Yeah, I started in theater. Oh my gosh.
New Mexico or New York, or because I know you're from Puerto
In
Rico.
Jersey.
Oh, in
Uh,
Jersey.
yeah, I mean, it's like I have Puerto Rican heritage, but both my parents are from Puerto Rico, but I was born in New York. And lived in New York, Cambria Heights, Queens, Long Island, and New Jersey was where I've been the second longest at this point, because I've been in LA since '97 now. So, but yeah,
Left. That's when I left.
oh really?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, gosh, it's hard to remember. Let's see. My daughter was born in '82. And she was about maybe 6 or 7 when I kind of started venturing, and maybe even as young as 5 when I kind of started venturing and looking for myself, kind of a thing, because I divorced, um, and eventually kind of found the theater, oh, acting classes actually.
But
Uh,
that's kind of hadn't been something you wanted, like breathing since you were born, or something that you sort of developed a love for.
I'd always was drawn to the creative
Hmm.
growing up.
Hmm.
Um, like I wanted to dance, to one of those classes. I would draw. Um, but it's not something at that age, especially my upbringing, that knew that it's a possibility to do, even though I was seeing people doing it,
Right, right, right.
it's not something that I knew could be a profession.
Hmm.
Um, and so they never had the opportunity. It's not like my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and her first language is pretty much Spanish. And so she didn't really socialize very much outside of the family. And my dad worked, roof on the table, roof over our heads, food on the table, and just made sure that we had what we needed, not necessarily what we wanted us, outside of that scope. And which is fine, it's like it's no, hit on them or anything like that. It's just it's what life was.
Yeah, I get it.
And so it wasn't until, then I kind of grew up, got married, had my daughter, and then once life, kind of goes into that turmoil, then you kind of start to look for yourself again.
Yep.
Um,
I just
or
did. Yeah,
maybe for the first time.
maybe.
Um, and it was quite a bit before I actually found myself in an acting class with somebody who came from the actors studio and brought the that kind of teaching to New Jersey in Red Bank. And it was about 2 years of just taking classes before I ventured out into the community theater and felt comfortable enough and in my ability to do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's hard to do in front of a live audience, you know? It's
Especially anybody who knew me.
yeah.
I was that shy kid who didn't talk in school at all.
Really?
Oh God, yeah.
Shut me up. My dog said, "Yes, that's right. That's right." Good dog. Good dog.
But yeah, no, I mean, even throughout, some of my adult life, it's like I was shy. And it was only once because my other profession was working in a salon as a hair and makeup artist and all that
Oh,
kind of stuff.
that's so cool. I love that you do that.
I think when I started as a hair and makeup artist, that's when I started kind of coming out of my shell a little bit more, being that you have to build this rapport with your clients that come and sit in your chair and trust you with their hair and things like that. So
Which
I
is
think
like the best and biggest important thing for a woman is her hair. If my hair is not
absolutely.
right, I'm a wreck. I'm a wreck. And these days I'm kind of a wreck. So, because I've had some problems with my front of my hair. So I'm constantly going, is this in the right place? Is that in the right place? Can they see this? Can they see that? Because I'm trying to grow something out. And it's just driving me out of my mind. And it's incredible how important it is. It's so silly.
It is. And men and women, it really doesn't matter. And the funny thing is that if I have somebody cut my hair and they make this mistake, I obsess over it. But if I make the mistake, I don't obsess as much about it. I'm like, it'll grow.
Yeah, yeah. But you also, when you're paying people a lot of money to do stuff, it's like, don't
Yeah.
mess it up. Please don't mess me up. That was tough. I've had so many problems. My mom's most famous, and it's famous, it's still to this day, is when I walk in the house. What did you do to your hair? All the time. So forever. I mean, I took somebody home and I said, "You're going to meet my mother." And the first thing she's going to say is, "What happened to your hair?" She's going to say that. And he says, "Oh, no, she's not. It looks fine." I said, "No, it doesn't. It's too short in the front. She's not going to like it. So I just want you to know that that's the way it's going to be." And so we walk in the door and she goes, "Tanya, what did you do to your hair?" And John just started laughing. He was like, and I said, "I told you." And then we made a joke out of it. But I mean, that's how you end up with two beauty queens in your family. My mom got two Miss Marilyns in the family because that was high. Hi, what'd you do to your hair?
Thankfully, I don't remember anything like that
Oh,
growing up.
that's good. I'm glad for you. I'm glad for you. So you fix these people up, you're coming out of your shell and you're seeing what's going on the stage and thinking, maybe I can do that.
Um, you know, I, I think, yeah, hair came first, and then it was the acting lessons and stuff like that.
Right.
So
That makes
it
sense.
it's just it was the first time that I found myself on the stage that I'm like, you felt like you were where you're supposed to be. And it's not like it was a huge part or anything like that, but and it was just enough. Like it was just enough to be comfortable and not overly nervous of like that you got to carry this whole thing because it was a bunch of vignettes that we did. Um but um this will kind of come up later, but it's like it's funny how my first acting role started with controversy because it was one of Chekhov's plays where it was I think it's called The Girl. And it's where the dad takes his young son who's becoming a man to become a man.
Oh,
And it's like, it was black theater and it's like we were wearing black and white. So there was nothing overly sexual. It was just about the purpose of this scene vignette was the dad taking his son to become a man in the sense of the word of the man, you know.
was it with a
And
prostitute? I can't remember that show.
yeah, yeah, a prostitute. And so this was done at the basement of a church that had a theater.
Oh,
And so the theater goers just, wanted that scene taken out.
that's that's funny. In the basement of a church. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I totally get it. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
a little
just
little bit, you got to be a little bit more careful if you're doing something in a church and they're not
yeah.
charging a lot for rent and you got to kind of be careful.
It wasn't my show, so
That's
it's
job.
just
That's
a note.
that's just you just do your job and let them do their job and that's it.
Exactly.
But you have produced things. I saw that and you're doing but how did you get in so many films? I mean, my gosh. I
It
was straight. I mean, my first job was a film with Matt Dillon called Liar's Moon, and that was a big deal. But it was so scary because I didn't have training except high school and college, but I didn't have training. And there I was with Matt Dillon, who was this huge star. And I knew from the time I was 3 that this is what I wanted to do. So I knew I could do it. And then I knew I had the intuition to do it and everything, but I just didn't feel like I deserved it because I hadn't studied enough. So I took myself out of that. I did a soap opera so that I could take a lot of classes and stuff like that. But but I did, and I ended up nominated for an Emmy Award because I feel complete confidence in myself. You know what I mean? But that's doesn't come at the beginning. You just don't even know if you can, what are they seeing? What am I doing right? Why am I getting this job? What did I do? When are they going to realize I don't know what the hell I'm doing? You know, that kind of, that goes through your head, you know?
Right, and that's more our own insecurities more than anything else. Because I remember when I first started, and the directors are talking to the other people and telling them this and telling them that, and I was being I was feeling left out,
Yeah,
and
yeah. No notes for me. No notes for
Right,
me.
exactly, exactly. And then come to realize, much later on, and it's like, that's a good thing, Marilyn. It's like you're giving them what they want, so don't question it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, even though I did the training, it's like in the very beginning, you're still questioning yourself. You're still insecure. I mean, hey, that's what we actors are. We're all about insecurities. Um, but more than anything, I think for me, it is the fact of the learning of the lines, memorizing all that. I was a C average student in school, so memorization was not my thing, and it still is not. And as we age, things get even worse. But I think the fact that you did soaps and had to memorize things basically overnight, if not instantaneously, I really salute you for that.
Yeah, I'm good at that. I'm really good at that. But one of the reasons I got good at that is because I knew who the character was.
Mm.
And so it's a joy because you get to develop this person over and over for a long period of time. And you don't really get to do that in a movie. You're supposed to know all about who she is day one and what she would do, and so that's the hardest part for me, of memorizing things for film, because I have to write a backstory that they never give you. And it's got to be it's got to be so detailed that I know what she would say, because that's how I memorize things. Like, what would I say? What would she say in this situation? So if I don't know what she would say in this situation, then I don't know the character well enough. And once I do, then I can memorize what she's going to say, because I'm not going to forget it, because it's what she would say. It's a little bit different than a lot of people do it. I mean, I know how to do, of course, the regular old memorization, but that's not really acting, as you know. So I teach my daughter the way that I do it, and what you really need to do is memorize what you're thinking. So, and
Yeah.
and so that's what I teach her to do. But it's not easy at the beginning, and when you're on stage, my God, like you were, you can't go up.
No, but because at that point, when you're on stage, thankfully, you get about 3 weeks of rehearsal. So at that point, all the lines because of the rehearsal and through the process of the blocking and all that kind of stuff, that if you do run up on a line or somebody runs up on a line, you kind of know eventually what to kind of do and just get it going so that nobody else kind of realizes that. For me, what you were saying, knowing the character so well, when I get any sides for an audition or something like that, I don't sit down and memorize those lines immediately, because I read it, what's going on, and then when I'm just going about my business, I think about what's everything about this character. What are the things about her? What's going on in the scene? Then the who, what, where's, and whys, and all
Yeah,
that kind
exactly, all that, all that. Yeah,
and then yes, that helps me memorize the lines then.
a lot better, a lot better. What I don't like is this taping thing.
I like it. I love it, actually.
I hate it. And you have to find somebody to read with you, and then
Yeah,
you got to get the lighting right, you got to get the taping right. You don't mind that?
I don't. So for a little bit there, before the pandemic, I was getting to photography, more for another creative outlet, and just really liked photography. And so then I kind of started doing friends like headshots and things like that. And so I kind of had some things set up already
Oh,
for
good.
that in my apartment. And so when self-tapes came around, of course, we all fight it in the very beginning, but then I just realized it's like, oh my God, I'm not fighting traffic going there or coming back, for the 5 minutes that I was there and the 2 hours. There was one time it took me 2 hours to get home and 2 hours there.
It happens. It
Yeah.
happens. You're in LA.
Um,
It can take
yeah,
2 hours to go anywhere, you know?
yeah. But the tweaking of the lighting, it really, honestly, it doesn't have to be expensive equipment that you use for any of this. It's like I use my cell phone, I use the microphone on the cell phone. It's good enough. iMovie can bump up the sound. It was more about my craft and giving them the scene as if we were on set, and just eventually finding myself that, all right, I really need to build the picture for them. So I'm getting better at that. And it's not as much of a chore. Yes, sometimes it's still like, oh my God, an audition just came in. I have to find that 15 minutes somewhere in the day to do that before, because I got all this stuff kind of going on. But the self-tape, honestly, it's I've gotten it down where it's like I rehearse it at least the first two. By the second time, I got it. It's where it needs to be, and it's good.
With you.
Hmm?
Who do you have doing it with you?
I've got several different friends.
Um,
Um,
I'm on the phone with my kids. I'm like, will you read this? And we do it on the phone, and it's just not, I don't know.
I will say this, it's like I have a friend who works a lot, as a matter of fact. We FaceTime and I'm his reader for over FaceTime. Personally, me, I like having somebody here, but if I have to do it over FaceTime, then I'll do it over FaceTime. But
Yeah.
but I've got a few friends, one who lives just around the block, another one up the street. So
Yeah, I need to get some more friends that live by me because it's not much fun. And they never know you. They never get to know you. And I think that part of the whole thing is having them know that you really want to work with them, or they really like you, or you have chemistry with them, or vice versa, or you get some direction, or they talk back to you, they tell you something. There's nobody to talk to, there's nobody to bounce anything off of. It's just a crapshoot. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But it's the way
but
it is right now.
yeah, yeah, but I mean, it's funny because I listen to things on social media, that have to do with acting and inspiration and spirituality and all that kind of stuff. But eh, let's face it, even in the beginning of our acting careers, we just hated auditions, period. Right?
Well, I mean,
I'm
my mother, she is a closet actress, I think. She never thought she could do it, but when she got older, she had a friend who was a casting director in Maryland, and they would call her and say, "Do you want to be in ballroom? Do you want to be in this? Do you want to be in that?" And she called me. She goes, "This is how I like to work." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "When the phone rings and they ask me if I'd like to do this part, and then I say yes." She goes, "I don't have any lines, but I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that." And
yeah.
she was just so cute about it. I don't want to have to worry about it or anything.
But
It's-
yeah, no, it's like in the very beginning, it's like actors most actors don't really like auditioning because it's a whole different set of rules, and it's also a different acting ability versus actually being on set once you have the job. But one thing that I saw, and oh my gosh, I'm not going to remember who it was that was doing this video. Oh, Keaton. It was the first Batman.
Oh,
Um, that
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. It's he because he hated auditioning as well, but then he just treated it as a job. It's like, I'm not going to audition. It's a job. I've
That's
got the job for this 5 minutes or whatever.
that's what I do. I prefer to do it that way. I don't like to think about the how it's going to end up or anything like that or
Right.
what.
So self-tape, same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm trying. It's not my thing. Um, So I'm making move. I'm writing. I've been writing like crazy. Do you now? You've got a Comic Con thing coming up in July.
I do. It's called
Tell me
Silver.
about that. Are you doing comedy?
Oh, well, Comic Cons actually, what that is have you ever been to San Diego Comic Con?
I've never been to a Comic Con.
Oh my gosh. So Comic Con means it's all about comics,
Okay.
books.
Oh, comics,
Yes.
like cartoons, sort of.
Yes, the animated, well, not the animated, but the cartoon novels that people read as kids. And this started this whole thing down in San Diego many, many years ago. And it just kind of developed into this whole thing with the industry coming in. And so going to conventions, that's basically what it is, convention is meeting the fans, essentially. Um, and I'm sure you
You
have
have
met
fans from Clerks, or do you have fans from what do you have fans from that go to Comic Con?
Clerks mainly. Some of them may have seen some of the other independent films that I've been in, but mainly it's Clerks. Um,
But
and
that's not a comic.
no, it's just comic convention,
Okay. Okay.
if con for short. Um,
I just
and
I'm talking about it on the Big Bang Theory all the time. They were talking about going to Comic Con, and I'm like, this is so funny. I I discovered Big Bang Theory way late, so I still watch it. I think it's funny as heck, and when there's nothing else on but Family Feud, I'll watch. If I'm not watching Family Feud, I'll watch. I think television has gotten so bad in the summer. I mean, there's nothing on in the summer, and so
yeah,
I'll watch old reruns of Big Bang Theory because they're hysterically funny. But they just really make a big deal about the Comic Con stuff. They do.
yes. Well, and I know that there have actually been conventions for soap opera actors as well to go to just,
I've gone many times. They're not conventions. They're paid personal appearances, and
yeah,
we go and we sign autographs and we get pictures out and stuff like that.
right,
Um, but it's never been done like they do these great big huge ones. And
right.
I think they could have done that back when I was on, because we had 14 million, not followers, viewers a day. But now I don't think they have 14 million viewers all added together. So because so many got canceled after OJ Simpson's Bronco ride. Um,
I
that's
think
that's really what happened to soap operas is that everybody got started watching
the
trial. It's true. It's really true. And
I
they
I think it's a little bit more than that because I think it's also the streaming services as well. All the different platforms.
or that everything got canceled in 2011 because everybody was watching OJ Simpson. I swear. It's even in the movie OJ Simpson, Procter and Gamble. There's a scene with the head of Procter and Gamble going, we don't need to spend this money on as the world turns in the guiding light. We don't need to do that. I mean, everybody's watching OJ Simpson. Let's put OJ Simpson on. So that's what they did, and people got sometimes their show was preempted, sometimes it wasn't, sometimes they got to see it, sometimes they didn't. They got really disappointed and upset about that. And it really messed things up. But it also made the networks realize that there were cheaper shows they could put on. One Life to Live got canceled for something called the Chew. So they had 5 stars that they had to pay instead of 40.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's a lot less money, a lot less
Right,
money.
right. Yeah, I was a guiding light and Days of Our Lives watcher, and it's been
Yeah.
a long time since I've even seen Days of Our Lives because out
Still
of the
on. It's on Peacock now. It just got picked up for 4 years
oh well, that's good.
on Peacock. It's huge. I mean, that's huge because that was rumored to be canceled 1,000 times.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So that's wonderful. I'm happy for them.
Yeah. So it won't be on
It's not
channel.
on ABC anymore, but it's on Peacock. And
Mm.
they're now creating an African American soap called The Gates. And that's the first new soap opera that's been created in gajillion years, like a really long.
Well, also there's The Bay that was created a while ago via streaming. Uh,
Yeah, that was on the internet and only.
yeah.
No, and that was a long time ago. He was doing that when I was in New York. He was putting that together,
Yeah.
and he asked me if I would come on. His name is Gregory Martin, and he asked if I would come on and play a spoof of Olivia Jerome, who I'd played on General Hospital. And they couldn't use her last name, but they could use her first name. So I did that for him. But that was a long time ago. Now he just got nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah, well, they've gotten quite a few Emmys,
I
which
know.
is great.
I, yeah.
I now I've never watched it because I didn't I don't think I was able to get to the platform. You can only afford so much. But but because I know they've had soap operas from pretty much all the soaps. And do they just kind of create new characters or do they mix them all from all the soaps in there?
I mean, Gregory, what's he doing?
Well, whoever has done the Bay all these years.
Martin. He hires whoever he wants, from wherever they are. And a lot of the other shows don't pay us as much anymore. So you're not under contract. So if you want to work on Tuesday and you're not working on Tuesday, and Gregory can write a part for you on Tuesday, or he can write a part for you Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, or he can write a part for you for the next 2 months or 3 months or whatever on such and such a day, and you don't have a contract with somebody else, you can go work there.
Um,
Yeah,
did he come from the soap world as a writer?
I don't think so. I mean, he was really young. I mean, I met him a long time ago.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just great that he's been able to figure out how to pay for this, because I would do this all day long, but I can't figure out how to pay for it. I really would, I love directing. I love producing. I'm constantly writing, but you've got to have somebody to bankroll you, I mean, it's really,
Right,
and so, that's what I'm going to be looking for now with these 8 scripts that we've got. But that's why I was waiting.
right, right. Well, good luck with that. Um, and you mentioned it's like you asked me about the producing that I've got on my resume. To be honest, it's like that hasn't been full on producing. It's been more of how can I help you? And I've helped them in these little areas here and there, and so they give me that producing credit. Um, and you kind of sit down, it's like, would I want to be a producer? The title, as it should be, would I want to really do that from the beginning to the end? And I'm like, in one hand, okay, yeah, it might be fun, but in another hand, I know it's a lot. It is a lot to deal with. I definitely wouldn't want to be the one trying to find the money. I hate asking for money.
I paid for our movie. I paid for the Derby Stallion, so I didn't have to find the money. But all the other stuff and finding Zac Efron, finding a casting person, finding different. I did all the location scouting. I fired 2 directors. I ran into chauvinism for the first time ever. They wanted me to sit in the corner and pat me on the head and write checks, and that wasn't me.
Yeah.
So it was really yeah, it was tough. It was tough, but I loved it, you know what I mean? And I learned so much, and the movie did well. So that was, but it was hard. You have to worry about the distribution, you have to worry about the ads, you have to worry about the everything, the public relations, everything. Yeah, you're right. It's a lot. Lot.
It's I'm and in one reason that I kind of think it's like, oh, okay, maybe is because I'm one of those people where it's like a fixer, it's like you see a problem, you kind of try to fix it. And I'm like that with my friends,
Would
with
like to
myself.
run for president because we really need somebody to do that. I don't know if it's as much as producing a TV show, but I really do think you could handle that. There's a lot of problems. So you just go fix them, fix them.
Right, yeah. As long and that's the thing though, as long as you know what it entails. And I don't know all the ins and outs of the business, but that's how you find out and learn about all the ins and outs of the business.
Trial by fire. Trial by
Yeah,
fire.
exactly. Exactly.
So the Comic-Con thing, is that something people can go see you at, you said?
Yeah, so this one is in Reno, Nevada. That'll be my first visit to Reno, so I'm excited for that. Um, you know, many times going to these conventions, when they come up to see me and introduce themselves, I will ask, how did you find out about it? Because I like to know whether, the marketing was doing their job.
Mhm.
And also, um, knowing where they came from, because when you hear about fans who, oh, I already have everybody's autograph, I just came here to get yours, that's really nice to hear.
Ah,
But the fact that some of them drive 6 hours to get to these places to meet you and everyone else, I'm trying to think, would I do that? I don't know if I would. Um, but it really is a nice kind of humbling, grounding experience, and to get these people hear their stories. For me, I love hearing their stories of how much the character fed into their lives and or changed their lives, and just, one being that sticks out in my mind is how a friend would watch Clerks all the time. And so when he sees any of us, it's like it's a reminder of him, of the friend that he lost. Um, or the fact that, well, I got my girlfriend to watch Clerks. If she didn't like it, she was not going to be my girlfriend or my wife.
it's a test. It's a test. Oh my God, I love that. I
So,
have a test. I have a test video. I give men now. If they don't laugh, they're not for me. It's a Dana Carvey. I'm telling my secrets. It's it's a Dana Carvey single white, what is it, 60 and 60. Single white 60 or 60 single and white or something like that. It's on Netflix. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
know if I know that one.
Seen it 15 times. You got to watch it. It's the funniest. It's really, really funny. He's got other ones about something kind of monkey. He's got these other ones, but that's the funniest one ever. And it was when he turned 60 and
Oh,
did this show. And you can just, man, if you're in our age group, you just rock. You just laugh your ass off. off. And so when somebody comes over, if they don't laugh that, then we don't have anything to go.
right.
It's so funny, but it's true, you don't want to be with somebody that doesn't think things that are funny. If you think things are funny. So
Right, right. Just find that commonality. Yeah.
mhm. But he's a riot. He's a riot. And he talks about teenagers, and we've both had them, so you'll love it. You'll love it. Um, so what's the vote? Now you just did a short called The Vote.
Yeah. Um,
What's that
it,
about?
gosh, when this audition came in, I'm like, it's mine. It's mine. It has to be mine, because it is about a family who gathers together to vote on taking a family member off of life support.
Oh my God.
Um, and the thing is, it's like gosh, I think it's almost 2 years now, that I lost my dad. And before
Right.
before he went into a veterans home, he had Parkinson's and it got very advanced. And he always said, it's like, I don't want to be kept alive. If anything should happen, just let me go. I don't want a funeral, just cremate me and bury me immediately and all that kind of stuff. And fortunately, both my parents were in a veterans home in Puerto Rico. And they were very careful about COVID and stuff like that. But at a certain point, they both got COVID. And so that's how my dad did go. But when he stopped breathing at the veterans home, they resuscitated him. And when they took him to the hospital, they intubated him. And nobody would talk to any family member or my mom or a proxy in any way. And as much as we told them he had papers, but they weren't acknowledging the papers. Um, and so he was intubated for about a month, I think.
It's horrible. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you.
They
Um,
did everything wrong. They did
yeah,
everything wrong. Honestly, they did. And I just, and it's so funny that it was mandated, certain things were mandated. And, I just got in an airplane and flew away. I'm in California, I couldn't stand it. So I went to Texas, I went to Florida, I went to places where I could go and I could walk around and go, where they didn't tell me I was going to get COVID from the sand on the beach. I mean,
Well, yeah.
I just couldn't stand it. And I'm like, how come we can't sue this? How come we can't sue this vaccine company if my arm falls off or if my foot falls off or if my face crash? How come we can't sue them? Well, you can't.
Yeah.
So how many of these am I supposed to get? So I got two and then I just stopped. I just said, this is nuts. This is nuts. I don't understand. But I know other people that believe everything, everybody believes certain things they see on the news, and there's no real news anymore. So you have to decide what you're going to believe and do your own investigation. But even the internet is full of I mean, you can't trust anything even on the internet. You have to do like in college, it's like we're all back in college. You have to double and triple check your sources.
So yeah, I myself, I got the 2 shots and a booster, but I haven't gotten anything beyond that. And I personally have not, knock on wood, gotten COVID.
Good for you. I've had it 3 times.
Gosh, yeah, no, I kept myself as safe as possible. When I fly, even to this day, if I fly, I mask and I sanitize. Um, I do try to keep myself pretty safe in certain ways, but because I have some physical, not physical, but I have autoimmune diseases and all that stuff. So I just don't want to take that chance, as well as asthma and stuff like that. But anyway, going back to the boat. Um, so yeah, I did the audition and I pretty much got it. And it was it I have to say that it's definitely one of my favorite films
Oh, that's wonderful.
because of the message and all that. And it screened at La Leaf a couple weekends ago.
Yeah, all right. You told me that's awesome.
Yeah, and we sold out. Well, I mean, it's not just us, because there were 6 other shorts, I believe, in this block. But it was held over at the Chinese theater, and
Oh,
it was a pretty big theater. So the fact that they sold out, I think La Leaf is probably one of the biggest Latin American festivals, if not the only one. I mean, I don't know of very many, Hispanic festivals
uh-huh.
around. I guess that's why it's so big, and they've been around for a long time, over 20 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I've got to find out though, what they'll be doing with the short now after La Leaf.
Well, let me know.
I will, yes, thank you.
You
Um,
better.
there
And
I've got many people who want to see it, and I feel it needs to be seen because
what's it about?
it really has an important message.
What
And
is
I played the sister to the one that's in the hospital on life support. And my niece and nephew are going through the hard time of deciding what to do. So they come to the family. And so the family gathers around. And there's our mother and my husband, um, other family members, where the son of the one that's on life support doesn't want to take her off life support. The daughter, being older, understands, and financially we can't do this anymore. And I'm saying she wouldn't want this, and she wouldn't want you to be holding on. Um, and so
So
then
y'all have to vote.
yeah, we do the vote. We all go to the hospital, say our goodbyes. Um, yeah, it's just it's really a nice, strong message.
It's about everybody's going to be in that position.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's important that they're putting that on film so people can perhaps talk about it before it actually happens. It's really hard to get people to have conversations about that.
yes, absolutely. And also just to make sure that, I mean, personally, it's like I've done this film and I still don't have my things in order. You know, as far as like having a will and all that kind of stuff. Not, it's only my daughter, so it's not like things have to be fought over. Not that I have anything to fight over
All
either,
right. There's-
but still.
it's not, we don't really want to talk about those things. And,
Mhm.
you know, it's just, once you've been through it, you know a little bit with your dad, it's things are a mess.
Yeah,
Even if the person came up with all these answers, sometimes the answers don't work.
right, right.
So it can be a mess, and you're already a mess
Mhm.
from the pain of it.
Right.
Um, it's just it's a part of life that's no fun. So
Mhm,
I
mhm.
guess you're supposed to enjoy each day that you can while you
Yeah,
know.
exactly,
So I
exactly.
want to see this movie that Neil Johnson's got going on now. I want to see this series come to fruition. Are you in that?
So, well, from what I understand, is taking a couple of his movies that he's done to make them a series. So, yes, I believe I am.
I would love to see that because I loved your scene with Tracy in the movie that I saw.
Yeah, I
And
love that scene.
Road Warrior, it was really fun. And,
Yeah.
um,
And the thing is too, is like that character, Sarzis is what I play there, has been in a couple of other films as well.
oh, wow.
So oh my
So
God.
we're going to keep seeing you then.
Oh God, I hope so. But
I
then
hope so too. That would be fantastic. And I love those movies. And if he comes down to shoot him, I'll get to see him again. So that's always fun. Uh, I love his accent. I love those English accents. And the one
but
thing,
he's got a mix of like
it's of
Brit.
Australia, and
Yeah, yeah.
wonderful. It's wonderful. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today. This was a joy
Oh,
to talk
thank you.
about acting and all the other things that you and I both have done and that we both love, and your daughter and your grandmother now.
Yeah, yeah.
So happy for you.
Thank
I'll have to,
you.
I'll have to borrow your grandchildren when they come to visit because I borrow my friends' grandkids. My kids are like me; they're going to wait a long time. So
Yeah,
borrow.
waiting for them to visit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, it was wonderful to meet you, and we'll look for you at the Comic-Con show, July 13th and 14th, and with the vote, wherever it ends up.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.